Hey guys, and warm welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace if you're new here, and this is the Rusty Thicket. Today we are going to work on row 7. So we are 70% of the way done. I'm excited to get this project kind of completely finished. I do think I'm going to make it into prints for anybody who's interested. There'll be a digital download on my Etsy page. I will keep you updated on when those go live. I'm hoping it should be before the last video. It's kind of what I'm going for. But yeah, so I've got awesome little nuggets of information to share today, but we of course are going to start out with our inking. I really don't know where my head was when I was doing this. Usually I'm in La La Land, but I've got just kind of a lot going on in my brain, things I've got plans for and stuff, so I will end up cleaning up a few of these little pieces. You can tell the plant I drew through the stem and stuff like that, and anyway, so you'll see me clean those up probably off camera just to kind of keep things nice and smooth, but I'm very excited to talk about these today. We are going to start out with the Carolina lily. It is the state flower of North Carolina. I have a lot to say about this little flower, and it mostly has to do with the book Where the Lilies Bloom. If you're from the Appalachian Mountains, especially in North Carolina, which is technically where I was. I call Johnson City my home, but Banner Elk is where I'm from originally before I moved to Tennessee. I have a lot of memories there. We've talked about them before on the channel, and one of those interesting little pieces is there's a book called Where the Lilies Bloom, and I read this in grade school. I want to say maybe middle school. For the first time. I've reread it multiple times since then, but it is about an Appalachian family whose dad passes away, and they basically, all of the kids kind of band together and essentially lie about him dying so that they don't get pulled apart by, you know, government entities and people who think that they should be living better lives, but they end up taking care of each other and themselves. And it's one of those resiliency novels that speaks a lot to the area. In like the movie posters, because there was a movie adaptation later on, they show white lilies, but in my head it's always this lily, which is very close to like a tiger lily color. They come in like bright yellows all the way down to these deep kind of red orange ones, and that's what I always pictured in my head because I've seen these all over the place, and it just kind of made sense to me. But white lilies are very well, like they're very common for when people think of lilies, so I don't blame that adaptation for it. There are white lilies in and around the area, but I just wanted to paint this one. I think it's beautiful with its sunset colors and its little speckles. Sometimes they get mistaken for a different lily that looks very similar but has green on the inside. I want to say that is called, I'm actually looking it up right now. It's the Turk's Cap. That one I'm not very familiar with as far as in name goes, but there's a pretty decent possibility I have misidentified them through the years because they are extremely similar. And now we're going to move on to the dandelion. I love a dandelion. It's in the daisy family. I think, and we'll obviously come back and touch on these as we add in our layers and things, but I think the dandelion is just looked over, you know. I know lots of people like them, and I know that bees especially love them because that's one of their very first sources of food in the springtime, but they make me think of Beach Mountain, where I grew up some. Now, of course, I needed to add in a paintbrush and a pen because I'm an artist and, you know, gotta add in those materials there. And then the monarch butterfly, which is, of butterflies, probably my favorite just because of its striking orange and black look. It reminds me of a tiger, which is one of my favorite animals, if not my absolute favorite animal. When we come back at the end and add the white pen, it pops right off the page. It looks so good. And then here I am working on a cherry, probably outside of an apple. I mean, I love berries in general, but I think a cherry is probably my second favorite, especially when it comes to danishes. You cannot go wrong with a cherry danish. And then this little axolotl, I really kind of wanted him to be that yellow and bright orange color variation, but I was doing a lot of yellow and orange in this strip, and I kind of wanted to tie some pink back in with the possum up above, and then also there's a worm that's got kind of that pinky nude color. I just want to try and keep everything balanced, and plus they're iconic in this color scheme. They're little pink fleshy faces. Now this is just kind of an amalgamation of houseplants. I really miss houseplants. I didn't get any while I was here because I knew it would be temporary. At our last base, you know, we just kind of drug on and on and on there, so I eventually started getting into plants, especially by the time COVID had rolled around. But here, even though there are so many beautiful plants to take, it just didn't make sense to spend money on them, knowing I'd have to give them up at the end, so I can't wait to get back to a place that, you know, I could haul them around if we ended up moving to another location. It's kind of giving fig tree a little, maybe, or rubber plant maybe, I'm not sure. And then this is an octopus. I love a little octopus. They're so cute. They're so smart. They're like little aliens. They're definitely kind of creepy too in their own way, like most sea life is. But I just wanted to add in some more aquatic pieces, and, you know, whales and all of that. Those are beautiful and stuff, but I don't know, there's just something very Goblincore to me about an octopus. And squids. Squids are very cool too. But he was fun to draw. This is a typewriter. I love old machinery in general, but a typewriter is like it. You know, it's very mechanical. It has buttons. I like things that are tactile and obviously old. And if they're a little rusty, even better. But we'll come back in and add some more things to that. And at the end there was the Empress Tarot card, and we'll get back into that as well. So if you guys haven't watched or read Where the Lilies Bloom, all I'm gonna say is that you should, and Kaiser Peas, and you'll understand if you'll read it. But if you do, or if you have, I would really love to know in the comment section down below what you think about the book, or even the movie. It's been a really long time since I think I've actually read the book more recently than I've seen the movie, so I'll have to try and find that somewhere again. But on this second row of layers here, I'm trying to go, you know, my lightest colors to my darkest colors, and coming back in with my richer, deeper tones. I really can't wait for you all to see the uploaded version of this. I feel like, you know, the colors only... The camera is doing a great job, but in person, it just looks so much better, and I'm really hoping my scan will be just as good. I apologize if you can hear the jets, as per usual. And I really wanted this guy to be kind of simple. I looked at a lot of octopus like colorations, and you know, they can change colors for defense purposes and for hiding and stuff, and I had initially thought I might go through and make him really kind of wild and speckled because I don't have a whole lot like that, but I did a couple practice runs on some doodles and he just really needed to stay kind of simple, but we'll add some texture to him at the end. I think out of all of these to draw, this little typewriter was the most difficult. I don't know why. It was giving me a lot of issues. Thankfully it's black and I can kind of paint over a lot of the doodle erase marks that were underneath it. And I did end up leaving the paper white, but I do low-key wish I had gone back and given it a color. Maybe a green? You know, like that kind of funky seafoam green color that you can get in like the pastel printer paper. Now the Empress here, we're going to come back several times to her. She's got lots of layers, but I chose this card out of tarot because I do love tarot cards and I love oracle cards and all that kind of stuff. I think they're beautiful pieces of artwork. But I chose the Empress out of all of the cards because she stands for creativity, projects, you know, lots of other things too, of course, but I just felt like it kind of embodied this project in a way, but also just me kind of in this journey of trying to, you know, have a YouTube channel, start a small business, being overseas. You know, if you want to look deeper into that, I am slightly basing this one off of the I always do this, Rider Waite tarot card for the coloration, but you can pick whichever one you like the best, and that's kind of the best part. So for the pen and the paintbrush, I chose to do kind of an old school fountain pen because they're a little bit more interesting to draw and to paint, but I do also really love them. I'm hoping to leave Japan with quite a few really interesting ones and maybe to do a video on them, so if anybody's interested in that, let me know down below. I don't have the best calligraphy handwriting, but you know, my cursive is pretty nice, and maybe we'll do a project, you know, in our planners or something like that before the end of the year, kind of to get something started for 2026. This is my favorite layer that we're going to start working on the Carolina Lily. It's got a really dark brown, almost black center as the leaves kind of curl in to the center part of it. And then these freckles, if you want to call them, kind of start to span out towards into the ends of the petals. And I just think it's stunning. I did do a few little black dots and things to kind of get some concentration in there to kind of make that center area darker. Something I like to do, but once it starts to get out into the petal, you know, it lightens up a little bit and really becomes more freckle-like. And I like how the under part of the petal is a lot darker. And they kind of do this wild curl. They're so beautiful. Right now, my current favorite paintbrush, like the one that you can see in my hand, is actually from, oh, it's either Michaels or Hobby Lobby. I actually can't remember now that I'm talking about it. But they are the Master's Touch, which I think that might be Hobby Lobby, but I really love how stiff the ends are. I need a lot of control in my painting because I am a control freak, and I appreciate a brush that really stays together well. And I've been through a few different brands that just I didn't love, so there's a little bit of info for you. Alright, so we are getting to the best part, which is the little white pen, the Jelly Roll pen. Honestly, this row does not need a whole lot of it. Oh yeah, and I did forget to paint the little fluffy things off of the dandelion, so I had to come back in and do that. But I always like adding the white pen because it just gives a little bit more dimension. It's just fun. If you guys have been here for a while, you know how I feel about it. But the Monarch butterfly absolutely required the Jelly Roll pen this time around, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. It does go a little bit fuzzy, but you'll be able to see it really well at the end. One of the reasons I wanted to paint this so badly is because I feel like they're very, very difficult to do even large, and I had never tried painting one real tiny before. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty great considering, especially since I'm usually more into painting moths than butterflies, and butterflies seem to have a lot more going on, especially in the color world most of the time. This little guy, he turned out pretty cute. I kept thinking about adding a mouth to him, but I think it would take away his charm, so we're gonna leave it. Dress up the pot a little bit, and here's where I added in some texture on the octopus. I wanted to kind of have him like almost like he was glistening because he'd be under the water, you know. And give the typewriter a few little highlights here and kind of clean that up some. And then in the original card for the Empress, she's wearing like a soft yellow, white, pink, rose looking dress. So I was trying to kind of go for that here. But yeah, that's row 7. I'm really tickled with how the Monarch butterfly turned out especially, so let me know in the comment section down below which one is your favorite. And we will be back next week to do row 8, and we are almost done with this project. See you guys next week.